let's get started with our discussion. So the first topic that we would be discussing would be from profit and loss. So as you can look at the first question, he's speaking about the cost price of 100 books being equal to the selling price of 60 books. So whenever we are looking at profit and loss, the fundamentals of profit and loss are basically derived from your percentage. So whenever you see a profit and loss problem, you will see a lot of percentages that are being mentioned, whether it is in the question or in the option. So whenever we are looking at solving a percentage problem or a profit and loss problem, we should be first comfortable with different kinds of percentage. As you can see in the options, you have percentages which are plain percentages, and also you have some mixed fractions. So let us come and discuss about this problem first. So in this problem, he is speaking about cost price of 100 books is equal to selling price of 60 books, right? So he is asking us to ascertain whether this will result in a profit or whether this will result in a loss, and by how much percentage. So whenever we are dealing with problems like this, it is very important that we know what is the formula for calculation of profit and loss. So in such problems, always take the ratio of selling price to cost price. So in this scenario, if I am bringing 60 from the RHS to the LHS, I will get 100 by 60 is equal to selling price by cost price. So as you can see, if we cancel these two values, it would result in 5 by 3. So as you can see, if the cost price is 3 rupees, then the selling price would be 5 rupees, right? So since this is a ratio, even if we take 5x and 3x, it would not make much of a difference. So if the cost price of the item is 3 rupees, that means selling price is 5 rupees. So that means the profit would be 5 minus 3, which would be 2 rupees. So here the profit for this item would be 2 rupees on the cost price of 3 rupees. So your profit percentage would be profit by CP into 100, because he is asking about profit. So as you are aware, 1 by 3 corresponds to 33.33% and 2 by 3 corresponds to 66.66%. The corresponding mixed fraction for 66.66% would be your 66 2 by 3%, which is your first option. So in this case, the answer would be your first option, which is 66 2 by 3%. Similarly, whenever you calculate this ratio, if you see that selling price would be less than the cost price, then you can clearly ascertain that the transaction has resulted in loss. Okay, so here the answer would be 66 2 by 3% or 66.66, where 2 by 3 is written in the mixed fraction. Okay, let's move on to the next problem in profit and loss. As you can see now, since in the earlier problem we have discussed about cost price and selling price, now we are dealing with another concept of profit and loss, which is called the marked price. So here he is speaking about an article which is marked at around 975 rupees. So what do you mean by marked price is, let us say whenever you go shopping during the festival or any places, you'd always see the price of the item mentioned on the price tag in any, let us say, showroom. So whatever is the price tag that is mentioned is called the marked price. So whenever you avail discount, the discount is always given on the marked price. So in this case, the article is marked at 975 rupees, right? And whereas it is sold for 897 rupees. That means he clearly availed discount on this item. So that has resulted in the price being only 897. So whenever we are looking at discount of the item, discount in terms of rupees would be whatever the price that is mentioned on the price tag minus whatever the price that you sell to the customer. So ultimately it would be 975 rupees minus 897. So the discount that you have given to the customer is 78 rupees. Now whereas in this problem he is not asking about discount in absolute terms, but he is asking discount in terms of percentage. Since discount is always given on the marked price, whenever you want to calculate discount percentage, the formula for discount percentage would be whatever discount that you have availed, the discount has been availed on 975 rupees. Since we are dealing with percentage, so I will multiply this entire value by 100 and that would result in my answer. So whenever you are dealing with such questions in your examination, it is very important that you deal with these problems in the least amount of time. The reason being, since you have time which is on the shorter side, you have to ensure that this problem is done in the least amount of time. So this is the actual workings of this problem, which would result in your answer being at 8%, because if you finalize this, if you take 9 table, 9 approximately goes 9 8s are 72. So roughly if you deal with this problem, you will get this calculation would be around 8. So the final answer that you would be getting would be around 8%. So whenever I am dealing with this problem in the examination, my first focus would be to calculate the discount, which is at around 78 rupees. And since I have seen that mark price is around 975 rupees, roughly I will calculate, okay, 10% of 975 would be 97 rupees 50 paise. Since the discount that he has availed is 78 rupees, so I can easily rule out option B and option C. So the only answer would be either in option A or option D. So in this case, if you can see, 1% of 975 would be 9 rupees 75 paise, and if you roughly multiply 9 into 8, you will get 72. So the answer would be 8%, because you have done 8%. So whenever I am dealing with such a problem, if I have to do it in less than 10 seconds or 15 seconds also, I will be able to do it, because I know how to calculate the percentages just by approximation. So the answer here would be D, which is around 8%. Now again we are dealing with the concept of discount. This problem is called successive discounting, right? So whenever you go shopping, in the same example, let us say the trader says instead of giving discount at one go, he is planning to give you 3 discounts. So he is giving discount followed by another discount followed by another discount. So whenever you are dealing with percentage in a problem like this, you have seen that there are no numbers that are mentioned in this problem. So in that case, since discount is given on marked price, so let us assume the marked price of the article is around 100 rupees. Since there are no values given, you can take it as 100 rupees. In case some values are given, instead of 100, you can take 100x for calculating for any further calculations. So in this case, if you look at discount percentage 1 is around 10%. If you calculate 10% on 100, it would be 10 rupees. So discount is given as 10 rupees. So after giving discount, the price of the item would be around 90 after calculation, right? Similarly, if you look at the second discount that is given in this problem is around 20%, and subsequently it is given at around 25%. So in such a scenario, on 90 rupees, you again got a discount of around 20%. So if you look at discount 2, which is 20%, so if your 10% of 90 would be 9 rupees, so 20% would be around 18 rupees. So on this value, you got a discount of around 18 rupees. So the price after the second discount would come down to around now 72 rupees. Now again on this, you got a discount of 25%. So whenever I am dealing with percentages, as I told you, if you are able to convert a certain percentage into a fraction, then you can do lot of problems in less amount of time. Since I am dealing with 25%, 25% generally corresponds to 1/4 of a fraction. So since your third discount is around 25%, so here the discount would be D3, which is around 25% of this value. So 25% of this value would be 1/4. If you divide this 72 by 1/4, you get 18 rupees. So 3 discounts, one around 10 rupees, second discount around 18 rupees, and third discount again 18 rupees. So your final price that you are going to pay would be around 54 rupees. So here in this problem, he is asking you what is your effective discount overall. So since the item cost was around 100 rupees and you have sold it to around 54 rupees, so the total discount that you have given in this transaction is 46 rupees. So if I have to give the discount at one go, instead of giving it 3 times, I would give around 46%. So the final price would remain the same. So successive discounts of 10, 20 and 25% is nothing but 46%. Let us say I want to solve this problem without doing all these calculations, which let us say is time consuming for you. So how do I end at doing this problem without wasting a lot of my time? So since we have assumed that my marked price is around 100 rupees, in the first transaction you have given a discount of 10%. So that means 10% is reduced, so remaining would be 90%, right? So you have reduced 10 from the numerator. Similarly, in the second transaction, this is the answer for the first transaction. So after the first transaction, you have again given a discount of 20%, so reduce 20, so it would be 80% of the remaining value. This would be the final price in the second transaction. So after the second transaction, on the final value, again you have given a discount of 25%. That means whatever answer you got, remaining would be only be 75%. So if you can cancel these values using your calculations, finally you will get the answer as around 54. So you can cancel in whichever way. 25 3s are 25 4s are, right? 2 4s are 2 5s are, and so on. Here you have a 10 and you can cancel it. So finally you will get the answer as around 54. You can effectively say that the one time discount would be around 46%, right? So this way you can minimize a lot of time that is spent on solving this problem. Okay, so this is another problem of discount. Let's move on to our next question. Again percentage, right? This is a pure percentage problem. So in this problem, in an examination, a student must get 36% to pass. 36% of how much he has not specified, right? A student who gets 190 marks failed by 55 marks. So the number of marks that he should get to pass would be 190 plus 55. So in case he got 245 marks, he would have passed the examination just like that. So in this case, since we don't know what is the total marks for the examination, that is what is asking, then the total marks in the exam would be how much? This is the question. So in this case, just like in the earlier problem, we would have taken 100 because the values are given absolutely, where 190 is given and 55 is given. Instead of just taking 100, I will take 100x as the total marks. So the pass marks in this case would be 36%. So the pass marks would be 36x. So 36x would be your pass mark, and in this case if you see, he got 190 marks and he failed by 55 marks. So the total pass marks would be 190 plus 55, which would be around 245, right? So the value of x would be in this case 245 divided by 36, right? So this would be your value of x. So here if you see, he does not want x because he is asking the total marks in the examination. So in this case, I should know what is the value of 100x. So 100x if I want, what basically I will be doing, 245 by 36, right, into 100. Fair enough. So this way we will get the total marks in the examination. So the calculation here would be, you can cancel this in 4 table, right? So 4 goes 25 times, 4 goes 9 times, and if you can see the numerator, sum of all the terms is around 11. So since this is not divisible by 9, you can say that approximately you can take a value, 9 2s are 18, 6 is the remainder 65, so it would be around 27, right? So you can see 27 point something into 25. So it is close to 25 square. So if you see 25 square, as you are aware, 25 square would be around 625. Since this is above 27, so the answer would be more than 625. As we can see in the options, the only answer which satisfies my criteria is 810. So this would be your answer in this case. So that is how I am going to do a lot of problems with approximations, even though I may not get the exact answer. Okay, now move on to your next question, which again corresponds to successive discounts, right? So this will be second problem of successive discounts. The difference between successive discounts of 40% followed by 30% and 45% followed by 20%. There are two transactions. Let us say this is transaction 1 and this is transaction 2. In first transaction, let us assume here we don't know what is the total marked price. So let us take the marked price is equal to 100x. In both cases, right? In the first transaction, you have given a discount of 40%. So if you remove 40, this will end at 60 after first transaction. On this again you gave a discount of 30%. So 10% of 60 would be 10 less, that is 6x. So 30% would be 6 into 3, that would be 18. So if you remove 18, so the final cost of this item would be around 42x. X in the first transaction. If I look at the second transaction, similarly, in this case, I have given a discount of 45%. So the reason why I am taking 100 is because for calculations, 100 would be very easy for me. So that's the reason I always take 100 in this case. So if I take 100x, first transaction discount is 45%. So if you subtract 45 from 100, you will get 55x as your first value. Subsequent to that, again you have given a discount of 20%. So here you want to find out 20% of this value. So if you know 10% would be 1 point to the left side, so 10% would be 10% would be of this transaction would be 5.5x. So 20% would be double of 5.5, which is around 11x. So if you subtract 11x from this, you end up getting 44x. So in the transaction 2, final value is around 44x, and in transaction 1 it is around 42x. So he's asking the difference between these two successive discounts. The final price is around 12 rupees. So as you can see, the difference between these two values is around 2x, which is given as 12, which would result in x is equal to 6 rupees. And as you can see in the final question, he is asking the mark price. So we have taken the mark price of the article as 100x, and we got the value of x is equal to 6. So the final value would be 100 into 6. So the final answer would be 600 rupees. So these kind of problems you can save a lot of time just by doing the calculations on your fingertips. Only if you are aware of where to start the problem, you will be in a better position to get the answer in a much lesser time. Okay, let's move on to our next question. Now coming to one more important concept, which is simple interest and compound interest. You may have observed in your simple interest, compound interest, there also, whether you are dealing with simple interest or compound interest, again you are dealing with percentage. So the best advantage of learning percentages is that you will be in a better position to do profit and loss, and also simple interest, compound interest in this problem. You can see here a certain sum will amount to 2. So amount to 2. So this value that is given in this problem is your amount. This is the value of your amount. This value is 2 years is nothing but time at 10% per annum compound interest. So this value is your R, rate of interest. So this is the value of your R, and as you can see, per annum interest being compounded annually. So he is asking you what is the sum. So if you take any general value, let us say if I take the sum is equal to again 100x, I have given a compound interest of 10% for the first year. So 10% on this would amount to 110x. And remember, if I have to calculate interest for the second year and compound interest, the amount at the end of first year will become the principal for the second year. Now if I have to calculate 10% on certain value, it has to be 110. So 10% of 110 would be, if you remove 10, it would be 11x. So if I add 11x to this, I would end at 121x. So the effective compound interest of 10% and 10% is not 20%, but it is 21%, as you can see in this problem. So finally you can equate 121x is equal to 12100. So from this you can calculate x is equal to 100, right? But finally we want what is the sum. Since the sum that we have assumed is 100x, so 100 into 100 would lead you to 10,000. So in such a problem, you may not end up doing all this calculation, but straight away, even if you want to do the answer from the problem, just by looking at the problem, I understand 6,000 is not at all possible, because the amount cannot double just with 10% and 10%. 12,000 is also not possible, because 12,000, if it increases by 10%, it would exceed my given answer. So either the answer is 8,000 or 10,000. So if you have done this calculation of 10% followed by 10% previously, you would have understood that is nothing but 21%, and straight away you had marked the answer as 10,000. So you can straight away eliminate two options, which are these two, and out of these two options you can also check which one satisfies your criteria. If 10,000 is increased by 10%, it will become 11,000. 11,000 increased by 10%, it becomes 12,100. So straight away you can find out the answer is equal to D. So these kind of problems, you can do a lot of such problems in less than 20 seconds and half a minute. Okay, let's move on to our next problem. Now coming to your ratio calculations, as you can see, whenever I am speaking about ratio, there are two terms in any ratio, which is, in this case you have ratio 4:5. Like ":2" is a relationship between two numbers, right? If I get 4 chocolates, you will get 5 chocolates, right? But it does not mean I got 4 and you got 5. If I get 4, you get 5. If I get 40, you will get 50. If I get 400, you will get 500. So here the ratio is 4:5. So whenever you are dealing with ratios, always remember, whenever you are removing this ratio, it is very important that you introduce a constant, because you do not know whether the values are 4 and 5 or 40 and 50 or 400 or 500. You do not know. So since A and B are in the ratio 4:5, I will assume A is equal to some 4x and B is equal to some 5x, right? So x can be any value, so I will take 4x and 5x. So he said, and the difference of their squares is 81. So the square of 8 would be 4x would be 16x square, and square of B, which is 5x, would be 25x square. As you can see, the difference between these two is 9x square, which is given as 81. So x square will be 9, x would be 3, right? So you might argue, sir, x can be plus or minus 3. Yes, I'll take your answer. X can be plus or minus 3, but since anyway you are asking the value of A, since the given question is A is 4x, since minus values are not considered in this category, so you take A is 4x, so your 4 into 3 would be 12. So the answer would be 12 in this case. Okay, let's move on to your next problem, which is again a ratio problem. As you can see, what must be added to each term of the ratio 2:5 so that it may equal 5:6. So in this case, the given ratio is in the form 2/5. So what you need to add? So since 2/5 is there, so let me take the value as 2x and 5x. So what you need to add to these two so that this will result in the value being 5:6. So this ratio has to transform into this ratio. What you would be adding to these two values so that it would result in 5:6. So let us say I'll add some k to these values. Okay, now you can do cross multiplication. 12x plus 6k would be 25x plus 5k. So 6k minus 5k, k would be 13x. So that means you are adding 13 to these two numbers, so the answer would be 13 in this case. Okay, so you can do ratio problems also similar to your percentage problems by taking least amount of time. Again you got a ratio problem. You see, 3/4 of a number is 7 more than 1/6 of the number. So you see, he is referring to the same number in both these cases. 3/4 of a number, so you don't know what is the number, so generally we assume the number to be x. So 3/4 of the number would be 3/4 of x. This number is 7 more than 1/6 of the same number. So if you want to balance this, because unless you write an equation, you'll never be able to find out the value of x. He said the first number is 7 more than your second number. So either subtract 7 from your first case or add 7 to your second case. Either way, you will end up getting the same answer. So 3/4 of a value minus your 1/6 of a value will be equal to 7. So in this case, you can take an LCM, would be around 12. 4 and 6, 4 3s are and 6 2s are. So 4 3s are, so you will get 3 3s are 9. 6 2s are, so 1 into 2 will become 2x would be equal to 7. So in this case, you get 7x by 12 is equal to 7. So here 7 will get cancelled, so you will get 1. So x would be 12 in this case, right? So hope you have followed. So x is equal to 12, then he is asking what is the number. Since we have assumed the number to be x only, so here the answer straight away would be your 12. So you can check from the options also in such cases, then you will get the answer much easier. So if I have to tell you what is a better way of solving the same problem, since I am calculating 3/4 of the same number and 1/6 of the same number, then it obviously goes without saying the number should be divisible by both 4 and 6. That means the number should be divisible by 12. In the given options, the first number is not divisible by 12, the second number is also not divisible by 12, and the fourth option is also not divisible by 12. So even without doing all this calculation, still I can get the answer as 12 as the answer. In case there are two numbers which are multiples of 12, let us say 12 and 24, then you check one. If that is not correct, you move on to the next process, right? So in such cases, for every problem you should have multiple approaches to solve, so that even if you are unable to solve the problem using your first approach like elimination, you can still do the problem using the calculations that we have done in this problem. Okay, so let us move on to your next question, which is your 10th one. Now it's more to do with the concept of numbers. Now let us look at this classic question. So this question says, what is the value of x cube plus 27x square plus 243x plus 631. Okay, in such cases, if I want to solve such a problem, I'll always look at the options. I look at the options and observe that the value of x is equal to 2. So I understand x cube will end with 8. Okay, 2 cube is nothing but 8. Now x square will end with 4. X is again ending with 2, because x is the value of x is equal to 2. So if I am looking at this calculation, whatever the first part of this transaction is ending with 8. 27 into 4 is what I am going to get. So 7 into 4, the last term in the multiplication would always end with 8. Similarly, 3 into 2 would always end with 6, and this number is ending with 1. So if I am adding all the units digit of this sum, I will get 8 and 8. So 8 plus 8 would end with 6, 6 plus 6 would end with 2, 2 plus 1 would end with 3. So there is only one option which is satisfying this criteria. So straight away I will mark the answer as A and move on. So in case, as I keep emphasizing, in case there are more options which are ending with 3, then in that case you can do that calculation and do that addition. But in this case you have the option of checking from the given alternatives, and you are able to figure out that the answer is 1233 without doing much of calculation. So you can do this problem, let us say, in less than 10 seconds. Okay, now let us move on to your next question. Now moving on to your another concept, which is time and work. Okay, time and work is one chapter which is very easy to solve, and you should never miss out on any question in this chapter. The reason being, in a time and work you can have multiple approaches of solving a single problem. Now you look at this problem. A's 2 days work is equal to B's 3 days work. So the basic of time and work goes this way. So whenever I am doing a time and work problem, the basic assumptions that I make is all these people who are mentioned in this problem are more like robots. That means they are equally efficient on every day that we are considering. Unless otherwise specified, we have to assume that if A is doing a task in 2 days, in 1 day he will do half of the task, and the second day also he will do half of the task, and the total 2 days he will complete the entire task. Similarly is the case with B, 1/3, 1/3 and 1/3. That is the basic assumption for doing a time and work problem. Now let us start with this problem. He is saying A's 2 days work is equal to B's 3 days work. So looking at this first sentence, if I am looking at these two persons A and B, so what can I conclude? What can I conclude about their efficiency? It goes without saying 2 days work of A is equal to 3 days work of B. So again, if I have to take the ratio of A and B, be very clear that A and B, A by B is not 2 by 3 but 3 by 2, right? So I can clearly understand from the given transaction that A is more efficient than B in the given problem. Now again, the next problem he says, you look at the second part of the problem. If A can complete the work in 8 days, then to complete the work B will take how many days is the given question. Now in this problem, as you can see, first we have spoken about the efficiency of A and B and the time they have taken to finish the job. Now let us understand what is the relation between efficiency and time taken. Let us say a person is more efficient, right? He will take less time to complete the given task. If I give the same task to another person, if he is less efficient, he will take more time to complete the same task. So in this, all I can conclude is efficiency of any person is inversely proportional to the time that he takes to complete, assuming that the total work is constant in this case. So I can say efficiency of A by efficiency of B will be inversely proportional. That means time taken by B, right, in this problem by time taken by A. Since I know the relation between efficiencies and time, efficiency of A by B, as we can see in the given problem, is 3/2, and he has clearly told the time taken by A in the given problem is 8 days. Then how much time is B is going to take? So time taken by A is 8 days, then time taken by B is how much? So 2 cancels 4 times, and if you cross multiply, you will get the answer in the given question to be around 12 days, right? So now in this case, the basic concept that I have learned is that efficiency and time are inversely proportional given the total amount of work is constant. So in this case, you can take E of A by E of B is equal to inversely proportional, that is time taken by B and time taken by A. So this is your first concept of your time and work. Now take a look at the next concept. So far we have dealt only with A and B, that means let us assume both are of the same gender. Now we are dealing with people of different genders, which is 4 men and 6 women. Always remember, here you have and always means addition. So in this case, 4 men and 6 women can complete a work in 8 days. So they will take 8 days. So 8 days all 4 men should work, and 8 days all 6 women should work to finish your task. Similarly, the same task is accomplished by 2 men and, so again plus 9 women. They also accomplish the same task in 8 days. So this is the given question. So they are equal, because he said complete the same work in around 8 days. So if I am equating these two, I will get 4 men minus 2 men, so that is 2 men. Similarly, 9 women minus 6 women, that is 3 women. So from this I can clearly understand men to women is around 3/2. Again I will conclude that here in this problem men are more efficient than your women, right? So you can conclude the same thing, yes, because just like you have done the problem for A and B, here men are more efficient than women. The ratio is around 3:2. Now the question is the number of days 18 women complete the work. So what is your work? Work is done for 8 days by 4 men and 6 women. So let us try to calculate first what is the total work. The total work is either your LHS or your RHS. So either you can take this as the total work or this as your total work. Let us go with your LHS. LHS would be 8 into 6 men plus 4 women. So what is the ratio of men and women? 3:2. So you take men is equal to some 3x and women is equal to 2x. So 4 into 3x would be your 12x plus 6 into your 2 would be around 12x. So your total work that you have to do would be 8 into 24x. So either you can calculate the final value or keep it as it is for your reference. Now he is asking if the same work is accomplished by 18 women, how much time is going to take. Now from your given problem you have understood the efficiency of women is equal to 2x. Now I have to find out what is the total time taken. So total time taken will always be equal to the total work that you have to do divided by what is the number of people, that means what is your efficiency. The total work I have to do is given above, which is 8 into 24x. The number of women that I have at my disposal are 18 women. Each one's efficiency is around 2x. So number of women are 18 and each one's efficiency is 2x. So this will give you the total time taken by 18 women to complete the same work. So in this case you can see, you can cancel x and x, you can cancel 2 and 4, you can cancel 6 fours are 6 fours are and your 6 fours are and your 6 threes are, and finally you will get 16/3. And if I am converting the given problem into a mixed fraction, it would result in 5 1/3. So as you can see, 5 1/3 is nothing but 3 into 5 15 plus 1 it would be 16, so 16 by 3. So the option would be 5 1 by 3. So you have many such problems in your examination where you have to find out what is the relation between your men and women. So let us look at one such problem, one more problem which has come in your examination. So let us look at this problem. Now this problem is slightly different from the previous one. Here in the earlier problem he said men and women, now here he says men or women. So that means either 4 men can do this job in 15 days or 8 women can do this job in 15 days. So the total work is nothing but 4 men can do this job in 15 days, right, 15 days, or in the same 15 days how many women you would require? 8 women, right. Again I can find out what is the relation between a man and a woman. I can find out that 1 man is equal to 2 women, or efficiency of a man is to woman is equal to 2 is to 1. Now he is asking in how many days can 6 men and you see and 12 women do the same piece of work. Remember, it is called the same piece of work. So whenever I am dealing with the same piece of work, so what I am more interested here is, first I should know what is the total work. Total work is nothing but 15 into 4 man. Okay, so you can take the man is equal to 2x, so the total work is nothing but 30x. So you might ask me, sir, what are the units of this work? So since nothing is mentioned, you can take it as 30x units. So it can be kilos, hours, it can be anything. Units are not specified, so we simply call it as 30x. So in this case the total work is nothing 15 into 4x. So sorry, we have missed out on a 4 because you have 4 men, here another 4 will come, so into 4. So the total work is it would be around 120x. So in this 120x, now this 120x work is done by how many people? According to him, this 120x is done by 6 men plus 12 women. Okay, 6 men plus 12 women. As you can see in the in all our given questions, if I have 6 men, so 6 into 2 would be 6 into 2 would be your 12x. So 12x plus, as he said, 6 men plus 8 women, sorry, 6 men plus your 12 women. So in this case, if I am looking at 12 women, each efficiency is nothing but x plus another 12x. So total would be around 24x. Now I have 24x people working, total efficiency is 24x, who are working on my given task. So the total amount of time I am going to take would be around 120x divided by 24x. So I would end up taking only 5 days. But in this problem he is asking in how many days can 6 men and 12 women do the same piece of work. Since we have calculated that total work is nothing but 15 man days, so 15 into 8, which we got as 120, and 6 men plus 12 women, so we got 12 plus 12 24. So I would assume the answer would be around 5 days, which is not there in the given options. Okay, now let us move on to your next question. Now let us move on to your next question, which is your time and distance. Since we have done time and work in the previous question, now we are moving to what is called as time and distance. So in time and distance, the first thing that you need to watch out for is what are the given units in the problem. Okay, as you can see, there are 3 variables that are there in time and distance. One is your speed, one is your distance, and one is your time. So how are they related? Basic math tells me speed of any given variable is given by distance by time. So the units of speed for any given problem would be either kilometers per hour or meters per second. So in many instances in the given problem, he will give 1 unit in kilometer per hour and 1 unit in meters per second. So it is very important that you know how to convert in such cases. So we will discuss about that problem in the next one where we do the conversion. The given problem, it is straightforward. He is asking speed of the given train is given as 75 kilometers per hour and the distance to be covered is 1050. So that speed is in kilometers per hour, distance is in kilometers, final answer is expected in hours. So there is no conversion that is required. So time from the given above formula is nothing but distance by speed. You have the distance as 1050 and you have it as 75. So if you do this calculation, you will get the answer would be around 75 into 10 is your 750. So you can cancel this in your table. 75 ones are 75, you got the remainder as 30 with 10, 400. 75 into 4 would be your 300, sorry 300. So the final answer would be 14. So here there is no requirement of conversion because straight away you are using the formula. So let us look at your next question where conversion is required. Why? You see in the given problem, a train 180 meters long. So the length of the train is given in meters and the speed of the train is given in kilometers per hour, and the final answer time is asked in seconds. So first you need to know how to convert a kilometer per hour value into your meter per second. So as you are aware, every kilometer corresponds to 1000 meters, and similarly every hour corresponds to 60 minutes and every minute corresponds to 60 seconds. So the final conversion factor would be 1000 by 60 into 60, which would come around 5 by 80. So a lot of people will tell you, if you want to convert kilometers per hour into meters per second, you do this multiplication with 5 by 18, you will get meters per second, and vice versa. If you want to convert meters per second into kilometers per hour, you just take the inverse of it, which is 18 by 5. So in my given problem, since the value of the speed of the train is given in kilometers per hour, so first my focus would be to convert this kilometers per hour, which is 90 into meters per second, into 5 by 18. So if you know 18 table, you will understand that this goes 5 times and the speed in meters per second is 25 meters per second. So I was successful in conversion in the first place. Now see what he is asking, a train is crossing a post. Okay, now the first thing that we need to understand in such problems is, let us say if I am standing near a railway signal and if a train has to cross me, I would say the train has crossed me only when the last bogie of the train has crossed me. I would not say only when the engine has crossed me the train has crossed. I would say only once the last bogie of the train crosses, I would say it has completely crossed. So that means, let us say you are standing near a railway signal, right? Let us say the train is like this. It is initially about to cross you, and in the next scenario, let us say this is the next case. This first case will tell you it is initially about to cross you, and in the second case it has completely crossed you. So if I draw a line here, let us say this is my reference line. As you can see, the distance traveled by the train from the first scenario to second scenario is nothing but it has covered its own length, which is this value. So this value in the given problem is given as 180 meters. So whenever a train is crossing a stationary object, if it has to completely cross the stationary object, it means it has crossed its own length. So in this case, the distance traveled by the train would be its own length, which is around 180 meters. Okay, so let me rub this calculation. So in this problem we have got, just excuse me. Yeah, so in this problem we have got the speed of the train is equal to 25 meter per second, and whether you call it as length of the train or the distance traveled by the train, both correspond to 180 meters. Since I want to find out the time as in the previous problem would be your distance by speed, so you can easily say 25 6 are 150, 25 7s are 175. So the answer would be 7.2 if you do the entire calculation. So or you can cancel this in 5 table. 36 5s are 5 5s are 5 goes 7 times 0.1, so 10, it is 2. So you can do that calculation as 7.2 also. Okay, now let us say we have another problem which is not per se a time and distance problem, but you can call it as directions. So to do a direction problem, the first requirement that I have is I should know what are the geometrical directions. So any geometrical direction would be your north, south, east, west. As you have north, Jammu and Kashmir, west you have Gujarat, in south you have Kanyakumari, and in east you can call it as West Bengal. Okay, so in this case these are your geometrical directions. Now a person travels from a point L towards east for 12 kilometers. Let us say the person is here, first he travels towards east, so you can take this value is equal to 12 kilometers. Okay, then he travels 5 kilometers north. Let us say this guy has moved in the upward direction, which is north. He has traveled 5 and reaches a point M. So initial point is L, this point is M. Now he is asking then the shortest distance between L and M. Remember, shortest distance between any two points is always the straight line distance between those 2 points. So if I have to join these two, L and M, as you can see, I would end up getting a right angle triangle with right angle at this point, because geometrical directions are 90 degrees. So you have a right angle triangle with base as 12 and adjacent side as 5. Then the hypotenuse would be under root of 12 square plus 5 square. Then you will get the answer as under root 169. You will get it as 13. So remember, whenever I am doing geometrical directions problem, if you want to save good amount of time in doing such problems, the first thing that you should recognize is I want to know what are Pythagoras triplets. So in any case, you would have seen from your high school, 3 square plus 4 square will give you 5 square. So this is your Pythagoras triplet, and the moment you start multiplying each number by 2 or a 3, you will get n number of Pythagoras triplets. So if I multiply each and every number by 2, I will get 6, 8 and 10. So 6 square 36 plus 8 square 64 will give you 10 square, which is 100, and so on and so forth. So if you remember Pythagoras triplets, your directions problems can be done in less amount of time. One more Pythagoras triplet that you have seen is 5, 12 and 13. This is not related to these two, and you also have 7, 24 and 25 and many more are there. So if you can remember some of these Pythagoras triplets, you can do these direction problems by observation in case you want to save some time. Okay, now coming to your another important unit of your examination, which is your geometry. And in geometry you also have something called as mensuration, and subsequent that you have something called as trigonometry. If I am looking at your first question, basic question, the measure of 3 angles of a triangle are in the ratio 2:3:5, then the triangle is. Now let us say whenever I am dealing with any polygon, the polygon first starts with your triangle. Suppose I want to find out what is the sum of all angles of a polygon, right? So in any way we know that sum of all angles in a triangle is 180 degrees, sum of all angles in a square is 360 degrees or any quadrilateral, and pentagon, hexagon, septagon, octagon, nonagon, decagon. So we can calculate that value. Suppose if I want a general formula by which I will be in a position to find out what is the sum of internal angles of a polygon which starts with a triangle, the formula would be n minus 2 into 180 degrees, where n corresponds to the number of sides. Since triangle will have 3 sides, you put 3, you will get the total answer is equal to 180 degrees. Okay, so if you put 4, you will get 2 into 180, it would be 360, and if you put 5, you will get 3 into 180, it would be 540. So this is how you calculate sum of interior angles of any polygon, right? Suppose if I want to calculate sum of exterior angles of any polygon, irrespective of the number of sides, sum of exterior angles of any polygon would always be 360 degrees. So whether it is triangle or a square or any parallelogram, or if you take heptagon, nonagon, decagon, it is always be 360 degrees. And remember, we are dealing with polygons in our subsequent problems. In this case, suppose you want to find out what is the value of each interior angle. Suppose you got all interior angles is equal to n minus 2 into 180 degrees. Suppose I want to find out what is the value of each interior angle. Suppose I am dealing with a polygon which is regular. Regular means all sides being equal. Each value, each interior angle would be equal to your given formula n minus 2 into 180, which is sum of all interior angles divided by, since it has n sides, you will have n angles. Each angle would be n minus 2 into 180 degrees by n will give you each interior angle. Okay, suppose if a polygon, if a triangle is regular triangle, then automatically it will become an equilateral triangle because all three sides in the given place would be equal. Okay, so let us come back and discuss about this problem. So this problem here tells me that the three angles of a triangle are in the ratio 2, 3 and 5. Okay, you can see it here that 2, 3 and 5. So you can clearly say one side is 2x, the other side is 3x, the third side is 5x. Okay, 2, 3 and 5. Then he is asking three angles of triangle in the ratio 2:3:5, then the triangle is. So you can see all four triangles. One is equilateral when all three sides are equal, right? Because since angles are given, I will not be able to comment unless I know all three angles are equal. I will not be able to comment whether it's equilateral or not. And since you have seen 2:3:5, equilateral is not possible because all three angles should be equal. And similarly, when you have seen an isosceles triangle, in an isosceles triangle, two sides are equal, right? Suppose if I draw a triangle like this, let us say, and I have this side is equal to this side, then you can clearly say this angle and this angle will be equal. So since the ratio says they are 2:3:5, you can clearly tell it is not equilateral and it is not isosceles also, right? And let us say you want to find out whether it is obtuse angle triangle or right angle triangle in this case. Okay, now you see the angles are given in the ratio 2:3:5. If you add all the angles, you will get 11x, which is equal to 180 degrees. So x would be 180 by 11. So if you want to do a rough calculation, 11 goes one time, right, and you have a 70, 11 6 are 66, roughly around 60. It will be greater than 16 degrees only. Now you see this case. Now he is asking what kind of triangle it is, whether it is obtuse angle or right angle. So when do you call any triangle as either obtuse or right angle? If you want the triangle to be a right angle triangle, right, you want one angle to be 90 degrees, which is not happening here, right? So it cannot be right angle triangle also. And when will you call this triangle as an obtuse angle triangle? And how does an obtuse angle triangle look? So whenever you are looking at an equilateral triangle, it would look like this. All three angles would be equal because all three sides are also equal. So whenever the angles are less than 90 degrees, right, if all three angles are less than 90, 60, 60, 60, you can call it as an acute angle triangle also. And whenever you are dealing with an obtuse angle triangle, the triangle would look something like this, right? Because you see, if I am correspondingly drawing a right angle triangle, in my case this angle would be 90 degrees and this angle, if you see, will be greater than 90 degrees. So in the given question, if we have 2:3:5, which is adding up to 180 degrees, right? So if you have 2x plus 3x plus 5x, which is 10x in my calculations, I have made a mistake. So in this case, if you are doing 10x, if you are taking 10x is equal to 180 degrees, then you will get the answer would be around by 10. So you can easily get by 10, so it is around 18 degrees. So now you can see that the largest angle in the triangle is 5x. So 18 into 5 would give you 90 degrees. The moment one angle is 90, it will become a right angle triangle, right? So since I have calculated wrongly in the initial part as around 16 degrees, even if I multiply 5 into 16, I was not getting more than 90. So it cannot be obtuse angle also. So the mistake that I have done is in terms of addition. So you can get the total is equal to 10x. Each x is equal to 18. So the angles would be 2 into 18, 3 into 18 and 5 into 18. So this would be a right angle triangle. Okay, now move on to your next problem. Again he is speaking about angles of a triangle and he is asking you what kind of triangle it is. Similarly, in the previous problem as we have done, you can add all three angles and equate it to 150, like x plus 15, you have 6x by 5 plus 6, and you have 2x by 3 plus 30, right? Suppose if I want to add all these, this would be 15 plus 6 plus 30, 21 plus 30, you have 51 plus LCM of all these three denominators would be around 15. So it would be 15x plus 5 goes 3 times, 6 into 3, you have 18x plus 3 goes 5 times, 2 5s are would be around 10x. Okay, so your total calculation in this problem would be 15 plus 18, 33 plus 10. So you have 43x by 15 plus 51 would give you 180 degrees. So as you can see, 180 degrees minus your 51 will give you 129 degrees. So 43, 4 3s are 3 3s are, you can see 43 goes exactly 3 times. So x will be equal to 45 value degrees in this case. Okay, since I got the value of x, the value of each side would be x plus 15. So your first side would be 45 plus 15, it would be 60 degrees. Now if I want to look at the third side, 2x by 3, so 2 into 45 by 3 plus 30, right? So 3 goes 15 times, again this will be 30 plus 30, again you got 60. So third angle automatically will become 60 degrees. So your final triangle would be your equilateral triangle. Suppose if I want to do this problem without adding all these calculations, right? Even one way of doing this problem is comparison. Suppose you have a gut feeling that this problem might be an equilateral triangle even before solving it. So how do I check? I'll equate any two angles and find out the value of x. If it is an equilateral triangle, if my guess is correct, then angles has to be equal. This way also you can solve the problem, right? So your x minus 2x by 3, which is x by 3, would be 15. So x again would yield 45 degrees to me in the given problem. So even without adding all three angles and equating it to 180 degrees, just by having a gut feeling that this might be an equilateral triangle, suppose you want to guess it, then probably you can equate any two angles and see if x is becoming 45, then I have calculated two angles before also, you got both the angles as 60. So we can clearly prove that it's an equilateral triangle. Okay, let's move on to your next problem. Now moving on to your one important problem which is related to your geometrical centers. So geometry is important, the reason being you have so many concepts in geometry, and one of the concepts is about geometrical centers. So you have four geometrical centers. First one is your circumcenter, second one is your incenter, third one is your orthocenter, and fourth one is your centroid. In the given problem we are dealing with centroid. So if I may ask you, what is the centroid? What do you mean by centroid? For any given triangle, you would tell me point of intersection of medians of a given triangle is called centroid. So now I want to know what are medians, right? A median is a line which is drawn from vertex, like let us say if I have to make this as A, B and C, a median is a line which is drawn from the vertex to the opposite side, which divides the opposite side into two equal parts. Then the question is whether this line is perpendicular, maybe or may not be, right? If it is an equilateral triangle, then it is perpendicular. It may be or may not be. Since the nature of this triangle is not given, let us say I draw a median from A, it will divide these two into equal parts, these two sides. Similarly, if I draw a median from B, similarly if I draw a median from C, this point of intersection is denoted using the symbol G, which is called centroid of a given figure, which is a point of intersection of medians. And the most important concept about medians is, what you need to understand here is, now in the given problem he said the medians AD, so from A you have drawn a median, let us say I call it as D, right? And again you dropped a median from B to E, intersect at right angles, right? So let me rub off this figure and let us show it how they intersect using right angles. Okay, let us say I am drawing the figure, so I am naming this as A and I am naming this as B and I am naming this as C. So I draw a straight line from A to D and I draw another line from B to E. So this is your D and this is your E and this will be your G, point of intersection of medians, right? Now he said these two intersect at right angle, so this is your right angle. So your triangle AGB will be a right angle triangle with AB as your hypotenuse. Now in this case the length of the median AD is given as 9. Always remember, whenever you draw three medians, they intersect at the point centroid. The centroid divides the median in the ratio 2:1. So if I have to write here, I will write AG is to GD from the vertex. Always take it from the vertex. Would be this is two parts and this is one part. Similarly, I can similarly write B is the vertex, so BG is to GE would also be 2:1. Agreed? Because that is the nature of the geometrical center, which is your centroid. Now AD total value is given as 9. So 9 means total AG plus GD is 9, which is 3 parts. If 3 parts is 9, one part would be equal to 3. So this value will be 6 and this value would be 3. Similarly, BE total value is given as 12. So again B is also 3 parts, BG plus GE. So 3 parts is equal to 12. So one part is equal to 4. So 2 parts will be 8. One part is equal to 4. Now if someone asks me what is the value of AB, I know AB is the hypotenuse for the right angle triangle AGB. So 6 and 8. We have discussed earlier Pythagoras triplets. Whenever I get 6 and 8, the third Pythagoras value of the hypotenuse would be equal to your 10. So you can straight away move on from whatever you have learnt in your previous problems. Okay. Now again we are moving to your next two geometrical centers, which are circumcenter and incenter. Okay, before discussing this problem, let me explain what is a circumcenter and what is an incenter, and what is a circumradius and what is an inradius. Now you can see for any triangle, let us say I draw a triangle in front of you here, a small triangle I have drawn, right? Suppose I want to know what do you mean by a circumcenter. A circumcenter is the point of intersection of perpendicular bisectors. Okay, point of intersection of perpendicular bisectors. Suppose I draw perpendicular bisector, perpendicular bisector, perpendicular bisector. Okay, this point will be denoted using the symbol C, which is called the circumcenter. Suppose I want to draw circumcircle now. So what do you mean by circumcircle? Here these are the AB, BC and CA will be your sides. A, B, C will be your vertices. So if I take a compass and measure what is the distance between C and A, what is the distance between C and B, and what is the distance between this C and let us say this C. So let us make this as capital C and small c. The total value, this AC, this BC and this CC, the total value is denoted by using the symbol R, which is called circumradius. This is called your circumradius, because if you take this as the radius and you draw a circle like this, this is called your circumcircle. So in a circumcircle, if you want to measure the circumradius, which is denoted by the capital R, right, it is the distance between the circumcenter and your vertices. Okay, this would be your circumcircle. Now in the given problem, we also deal with something called as incircle. So let us deal with this concept also. What is your incircle? I will show another figure for you. Let us say again I am drawing a triangle. Let us say I will draw a big triangle in this case. Now I want to know what do you mean by your incircle, right? So for any problem, if you want to calculate what is the value of incenter is the point of intersection of your angular bisectors. That means every vertex will have an angle. You have an angle B, A and C. Suppose I want to find out what is this angle. I will first calculate what is the angular bisector. That means this line will divide these two angles into equal parts. So these two will be equal. Similarly, I draw another bisector. This will divide these two angles into equal parts. Similarly, I draw another line. This will divide these two angles into equal parts. So this will be A by 2, A by 2, B by 2, B by 2, C by 2, C by 2. So the point of intersection of your angular bisectors is called your incenter, which is denoted by the symbol I here. Okay, so this will be your incenter. Now what is your inradius, right? So the distance between the point of intersection to the sides. So let us say this value is D, E and F, the point of intersection. The moment you measure what is the value of this is I, right? So the moment you measure what is ID, IE and IF is denoted by using small r, which is your in radius. This is called your in radius, which is small r. So if I measure ID and IE and IF, and if I draw a circle using these three as your radius, this is called in radius. So the circle which is found by in radius is called in circle, and on the top you can see what is your circumcircle. Okay, so these two are the two geometrical centers, in center and circumcenter, that we have discussed so far. And let me explain you the given problem, and you will also need to understand how this circumradius and in radius are related to the given sides of a triangle. Suppose I want to calculate what is the relation between capital R and the three given sides of this triangle, which are A, B and C. So the formula which captures the relation between your circumradius and the three sides of a triangle is nothing but, let me write it here, is will be capital R is equal to ABC. ABC is nothing but the sides of the triangle divided by 4 delta. So you might be curious to know what is mean by delta. Delta means the area of the given figure. Here it is the area of a triangle. Similarly, if I want to know what is the, how do I calculate the value of in radius, and what is the relation between the in radius and the sides or the area of the triangle, small r is equal to delta by S. You might be aware delta is area of triangle. What is S? S is nothing but semi perimeter. So what do you mean by semi perimeter? Means S is equal to A plus B plus C by 2. This is called semi perimeter. So you might have seen in your high school there is a formula called Heron's formula, where you calculate what is the value of delta by using delta is equal to under root of S into S minus A into S minus B into S minus C. That is how you calculate what is the value of delta. Okay, now that may not be required in the given problem. Reason being, if you see the given problem, the values that are given are 3, 4 and 5. Right, so that is the biggest advantage here. So plain observation tells me that this is a classic problem where I am dealing with a right angle triangle. That is the biggest advantage. So the triangle is like this, 3, 4 and 5. These are Pythagoras triplets. Suppose I want to know what is the value of, he is asking what is the area of circle 1 to the area of circle 2. So circle 1 is your in circle, circle 2 is your circumcircle. Okay, so if I want to find out what is the area of circumcircle, first I should know what is the circumradius. So you know R is equal to delta by S. So delta of the given problem would be half into base into height. Base is 4, height is 3, so it is nothing but 6. So your delta is 6. And what is your semi perimeter? A plus B plus C by 2. So 3 plus 5, 8, 8 plus 4, 12, 12 by 2. So this is also 6. So your small r is equal to 1. Right? So if your small r is equal to 1, let me calculate what is the value of capital R. Capital R is equal to 3 into 4 into 5 by 4 delta. Delta you have already calculated before, which is 6. Okay, so this would be 5 by 2. So now you have calculated, you want delta C1 by delta C2. So here you will have pi small r square, here you have pi capital R square. So you need not worry about this pi because this will get cancelled. So small r is equal to 1, capital R is equal to 5 by 2, 1 square divided by 5 by 2 whole square, which will be 2 by 5 whole square. So the final answer would be equal to 4 by 25. So this problem might have taken time here because I am discussing about the formulas of in radius and circumradius, but when you are doing it in the exam, it would not take more than 30 seconds, because you will directly calculate what is the value of capital R and small r and substitute in the given problem. So the answer would be 4 by 25. Okay, let's move on to your next question, which is about an equilateral triangle. And equilateral triangle is very easy to remember, because you might have seen some advertisements also. If I have to explain how does an equilateral triangle look like, the classic example is, you would have seen bingo advertisement where they explain about the geometric nature of the chips that they are selling. You would see in whichever direction the person in that advertisement sees, it would look similar, mostly like an equilateral triangle. So whenever I am dealing with an equilateral triangle, the first thing that I need to remember here is, let us say I will try to draw an equilateral triangle for you. Let us say this is how the equilateral triangle looks like. So in an equilateral triangle, what is the basic most important thing is, all three sides are equal, and correspondingly all three angles will also be equal, which is 60, 60, 60. Suppose if I want to find out what is the area of an equilateral triangle, the formula for an area of an equilateral triangle is root 3 by 4 a square. A means what is the side? It can be 2, or it can be 3, or it can be 4. This is the area, which is delta. Now I want to know what is the height of an equilateral triangle. Remember, height always means perpendicular distance. So when you are using the formula half BH, you are always insisting on what is the h value. H is always the perpendicular, just like in a right angle triangle. So height of an equilateral triangle formula will be root 3 by 2 times its side. That is what is given in the given problem. He said root 3 by 2 by root 3 by 2 a is 12 root 3, that is given. So from this I can root 3 get cancelled, I can say a is equal to 24. Fair enough. Now he wants to find out what is the area. Area would be root 3 by 4 a square, so which would be 24 into 24. 4 goes 6 times, 24 into 6, 144 root 3. So your answer would be D. So for an equilateral triangle, you should remember what is the area and what is the height. Now coming to your problems based on both triangle and a quadrilateral. Now you can see this is a very good question. Here he is speaking about a triangle ABC. Let us say I am drawing a triangle for your reference. This is the triangle that we have drawn, and he is saying ABC is your given triangle. D, E and F are the midpoints of, let us say this value is D, and E is the midpoint of CA. So let me draw E here, and F is the midpoint of AB. So let me draw it F here, F. Okay. Now he is saying D, E, F are the midpoints of BC, CA and AB respectively of a triangle ABC. Then the ratio of area of trapezium, area of parallelogram DEFB. So let me join this figure. So he is speaking about this value, right? This would be your parallelogram, right? Because why he is saying parallelogram is because your basic theorem in your geometry tells you, which is called basic proportionality theorem, tells you whenever I draw a line joining the midpoints of two sides, the line joining the midpoints of two sides, which is FE, will be parallel to the third side, which is BC, and will be exactly half of it. So from clearly I can say FE and BD are equal, they are parallel. Similarly BF and ED are equal and they are parallel. So the figure has to be your trapezium. Okay. Now you might ask me, sir, what if I join, just give me a second, let me above this, let me again draw a triangle for you. Let us say these are ABC, and you have D, and you have E, and you have an F. He is speaking about a parallelogram DEFB. So let me draw this DEFB. Suppose if I join this, as you can see, the given triangle is divided into 4 equal triangles because all these sides are half of individual sides. So all these 4 are equal triangles. Now he is asking you about DEFB. So that means 2 triangles out of 4. So the area would be 2 triangles out of 4 triangles for the parallelogram DEFB, right? So the half of the entire area. And since I am speaking about trapezium CAFD, okay, now you can see the trapezium CAFD. So this is the trapezium. This trapezium is taking care of 3 triangles, so it will be 3 out of 4. Out of 4 triangles, this is occupying 2 triangles, this is occupying 3. So the ratio would be 2 out of 3. So the answer would be 2 out of 3. This is possible only because he is speaking about midpoints. So basically what I am using is my basic proportionality theorem. Again I am repeating the theorem which states whenever I join the midpoints of 2 lines, the line join the midpoints of, whenever I am joining the midpoints of 2 sides, the line joining the midpoints of 2 sides will be parallel to the third side and will be exactly half of it. So here I can say FE and BC are parallel and FE will be half of BC. Similarly, DF will be half of AC and so forth. Similarly, you can say DE is half of AB. That way you can tell basic proportionality. So the answer would be 2:3. Now coming to your 3-dimension figures which he is speaking about parallelopiped. Okay, parallelopiped in the given figure. Now let me start with any 3-dimensional figure that you are most comfortable. Let me draw a cube for you. Right. So for any given figure, the first thing that we need to understand is what is the terminology that is associated. Here the terminology is speaking about vertices, he is speaking about edges, he is speaking about face. So let us say I take a 3-dimensional figure like your rubber or any cube that you generally use for playing. Whatever these values are there, let me take another color for you. Yeah, so this or your corners. You have 8 corners, or you can call it as vertices, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. So your V will be 8 in the given problem. Okay. Now coming to your next one, which are called edges. Now you can see similarly if I want to mark the edges, 1, 2, 3, 4, right, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 on the top, 4 on the bottom, this side, this side, this side and this side. So 4 on the top, 4 on the bottom, 2 on each side, because you cannot have repetition. So the number of edges will be 12. Okay. Similarly coming to the last one, which is your face, because how many times I can rotate this figure. As you are clearly aware, front face, back face, top face, bottom face, right face, left face. The total number of faces would be 6. So he is asking what is the value of V minus E plus F, which would be around 2. Whether it is parallelopiped or whether it is cube or cuboid, whatever figures that you are dealing with, it comes the same value. Okay, so here the answer would be 2. Okay, let's move on to our another mensuration problem. All these are 3-dimensional problems, which is your sphere. So generally a sphere looks like this, like a ball, cricket ball, right, or a football, whichever you may call it. So he is speaking of volume of a sphere. So volume of a sphere is nothing but 4 by 3 pi r cube, which is nothing but r means the radius. Call it anyway. This is your r. This is the center. I am drawing only 2 dimension for a sphere. Okay. So 4 by 3 pi r cube is equal to surface area. So surface area means whatever is on the outside, which is 4 pi r square. So whenever he is saying 4 by 3 pi r cube is equal to 4 pi r square, I can clearly say r is equal to 3, radius is equal to 3. So you can clearly remember, whenever volume is equal to surface area means the radius has to be 3. So the diameter will be 2 times radius, which would be your 6. Okay. So there is an advantage of remembering the formulas in mensuration, right, basically. Okay. Now coming to your next problem, which is what is called as your cone. Yeah, cone is the most often seen after your sphere. How does a cone look like? the cone looks like your popcorn case that you generally have during whenever you go outside. If you invert it, it would be like a popcorn, or the cap that a joker places on his head would be in the form of a cone. Now how does this cone, what are the properties that are associated with this cone? You can see the base of this cone is a circle, right? So the base of this cone would be a circle, so the total surface area, right, is nothing but pi r square. And if I want to calculate what is the volume of this cone, volume of this cone will be pi r square into the height. But since this cone is not uniform, if this cone was like this, like your cylinder, you are aware how does a cylinder look like. For a cylinder, the area would be pi r square into h, because it's like a CD disc that you place one above the other. Area of the surface base is nothing but pi r square, and you have h CDs, so area would be pi r square h. But for a cone, since we do not have this similarity as going forward, volume of a cone would be 1 by 3 pi r square h. So this is your first part, this is your second part, this will be your third part. So 1 by 3 pi r square h, okay, for your cone. Now in this case he is speaking about the cone. What he said, in this case 5 persons will live in a tent if each person requires 16 square meters of floor area. So the floor area means surface area, 5 into 16, so you have 80. This is your surface area. If you multiply this with your height, you should get what is called as the volume. What is the volume? And every person here requires how much? 100 cubic meters. So what is the volume? 1 by 3 pi r square, which you already have. Just give me a moment. So I'm just rubbing this off. Yeah, so 5 persons live it. So surface area would be 5 into 16, which would be your 80, right, surface area. And each person requires 100 cubic meter space for A. So 5 persons are there, so you would require 500, 5 into your 100. So this is the total volume that is required. This is the surface area that is required. So how do you, what is the relation between surface area and your, finally what is asking, then the height of the cone of the smallest size to accommodate 3 persons would be, since if I want to calculate surface area would be 80 into your height would give you your volume, which would be what is the volume that we have taken? 500. Here height would be 6.25. Since it is 1 by 3 times, you would 6.5 into 3 would be give 18.75. Agreed? So the total height, minimum height that I would be requiring is 1 by 3 pi r square h. So this is your pi r square and this is your h. So if I multiply this with 1 by 3, I'll get my final answer, which is 18.75. So this would be your answer. Okay, so this is about your cone. Okay, now coming to your third part of your important syllabus, which is your trigonometry. So trigonometry basically deals with right angle triangles, which is the most comfortable thing for any person who's writing an examination. The first thing that you need to remember, let me explain you, is suppose I have a triangle like this ABC. Suppose I have an angle theta at C. Suppose if I want to calculate what is the value of sin theta, suppose I want to find what is the value of cos theta and what is the value of tan theta, right? So these 3 things, if you remember, it would be very helpful to you. So sin theta would be opposite side by hypotenuse, opposite to this angle. So if you look at this angle, the opposite side would be AB, just opposite. So AB is your opposite side and hypotenuse will be AC. Similarly, if I want to calculate what is the cos theta, whichever side is that is remaining is your adjacent side. Adjacent side means the one which touches your angle, which is BC by AC. So this will be your adjacent side. Suppose if I want to calculate what is the value of tan theta. So if you divide sin theta by cos theta, you will get tan theta, which is opposite by adjacent, AB by AC, right? So sin theta will be opposite by hypotenuse, cos theta will be adjacent by hypotenuse, and tan theta will be opposite by adjacent. Okay. Now in this case, if you want cosecant, you inverse sine, you will get cosecant. If you want secant, you inverse cos, you get secant. If you want cot, you inverse tan, you will get your value. Now in the given problem, he said 5 sin x is equal to 3. That means sin x in the given problem, you can see sin x in the given problem will be 3 by 5. Okay, so let me, in the same triangle, sin x is given as 3 by 5. So this value is 3 and this value is 5. So clearly I know this value is 4. Okay, so in the given problem, numerator and denominator, secant minus tan by secant plus tan. Secant is nothing but 1 by cos, tan is nothing but sin by cos, divided by 1 by cos plus sin by cos. So this cos and cos will get cancelled. So finally, after doing all this problem, you will get 1 minus sin by 1 plus sin. If I have to simplify, after simplification I will get 1 plus sin by, 1 minus 1 minus sin by 1 plus sin. So you already have sin value as 3 by 5, 1 minus 3 by 5 by 1 plus 3 by 5. 1 minus 3 by 5 will be 2 by 5 and 8 by 5, 2 by 8, which will give you 1 by 4. So in any given triangle, you should be in a position to remember in trigonometry how to identify the angle and what is sine, cos and tan formula, and more importantly, what are the properties that relate this sine, cos and tan and cosecant, secant and cot. So you might be aware sine square theta plus cos square theta is equal to 1. Secant square theta minus tan square theta is equal to 1. Cosecant square theta minus cot square theta is equal to 1. So these are 3 properties that you generally remember. Now we'll use one of those properties here. You see 2 sin square x plus 3 cos square x is equal to how much he is asking. And remember, he is asking about you minimum value. Suppose if I want minimum value, so if here 2, here also I take 2, if I take 2 common, I will get sin square x plus cos square x. So 2 cos square x is accounted, 1 cos square x is missing, plus cos square x. So sin square x plus cos square x value is 1 by the property. So the minimum value of this entire part is nothing but 2. Suppose I want cos square x. So as you are aware, cos square x, what is the value of cos square x, and I want the minimum value. So whenever you are aware, sin theta, if I am drawing the graph of sin theta, the graph would look like this and so on. So it will be 0 here and it will attract the maximum at 90. And you try to draw the graph of cos square theta, it would be just opposite. That means it would be the value, if I am drawing the value of, let us say, if I want to draw cos square theta, it would be something like this. So at 0 it is maximum and at 90 it is minimum. That is the value of, that is how the cos square theta graph looks like. Suppose I am trying to deal with this problem. Suppose from this problem I can clearly understand 2 sin square x plus 2 cos square minimum value is 2 and cos value can be 0. When x is equal to 90 degrees in the given problem, it can be 0. So the minimum value of the first expression is 2 and the second expression will be 0. So overall, if I want to find out minimum value, then the answer will be 2 in the given problem. So you can take C as your option. Okay. Again you have sin square 22 plus sin square 68 plus cot square 30. Now the one thing that you need to remember is whenever I am doing sin of 90 minus theta, it will become cos theta, right? So similarly I can write this 68 as, you can see the pairs how they are given, 22 and 68. That means if you want to convert this 68 into 22, this sign will become cos, or if you want to convert this 22 into 68, because these are like complementary. Whenever I am saying complementary angles, they add up to 90 degrees, and whenever I am saying supplementary, they add up to 180. So 22 and 68 are complementary. So this is sin square 22, this is nothing but cot square 22, or this is sin square 68, this will become cos square 68. So if I add these two, I know I will get nothing but 1 only without any conversion. Okay, and you have cot square 30, and you know tan 30 is equal to root 3. So cot 30 will be 1 by root 3 So 1 by root 3 whole square will be 1 by 3, and you will have, sorry, cot square 30, sin square 22 plus cos square 22, you have 1, and you have cot square 30, so you have tan 30 is equal to 1 by root 3, sorry, tan 30 is equal to 1 by root 3, so cot 30 will be root 3, so you have root 3 whole square, which is 3, so 3 plus 1 you will get the answer as 4. Okay, you can simplify the problem in this way. Now again I am using another property in trigonometry, which is you think about secant x plus tan x is equal to p. So that I have clearly explained. The formula that we use is secant square x minus tan square x is equal to 1. X is any value of theta. So that means this is the formula of a square minus b square. You can write it as secant x plus tan x into, I can do secant x minus tan x. If I multiply these two, a plus b into a minus b, I will get 1, right? So secant x plus tan x is already given as p. P into this value will give you 1. That means secant x minus tan x is equal to 1 by p. If I am going further, it's already given as secant x plus tan x is given as p. Since he is asking what is the value of secant x, just if you add these two equations, these two will get cancelled. You will get 2 secant x is equal to p plus 1 by p. So secant x will be 1 by 2 times p plus 1 by p. That means in the given options you have option B, which is 1 by 2 into p plus 1 by p. So the properties of trigonometry are basically useful in my problem. Okay, let's move on to my next problem. Again, just like sine and cos are complementary, similarly tan and cot also are complementary. In such a problem, since we have discussed earlier problems using an approach, let us see whether I can do this problem using elimination. So let us say if I am looking tan and cot, I can clearly tell tan of 10 will be cot of 80. Similarly, if I take tan of 20 will be equal to cot of 70, because these two are complementary angles. So I have to check which option will give me two complementary angles on LHS and RHS. Let us say I will substitute value of 30 in my LHS. So you will get 4 into 30, 120 minus 50, you get 70 as this angle. And similarly, if you put cot of 50 minus 30, you will get 20. As you clearly see, these are complementary angles. So the moment you get complementary angles, that would be your answer. Okay, so you can take A as your answer and just move on. Okay, or if that is not the answer, you have to check for few more options. Okay, now even in trigonometry, one important concept is called the concept of heights and distances. In this case, whosoever has a flavor for drawing diagrams, he will be at an advantage, because if you can visualize the scenario by drawing a good diagram, you will be in a better position to solve the given problem. Now you see, a kite is flying at a height of 75 meters. So whenever he is saying height, it always means the perpendicular distance. Let us say, obviously a kite cannot go just vertically. Whenever you are here, a kite always goes in this direction, right? You would have seen a lot of satellites moving. When ISRO launches a satellite, it will not go directly vertically, and it will go in some vertical direction or parabolic direction. Here you see, this is the kite movement, and he said the height is a distance of 75 meters from the ground. So this ground, if you take this as the ground, he is referring to this value. So this value is your 75. And he said the string, so this is your string, and he clearly said the string makes an angle of, the string makes an angle, yes, the string makes an angle x, where cot x is equal to 8 by 15. So this value is x. If cot x is 8 by 15, tan x will be 15 by 8, right? So this will be 15 is to 8. So these two sides. So this is opposite side, this is adjacent side. So tan theta will be opposite by adjacent. So this value is equal to 15 parts, and this value is equal to 5 parts. Okay, so you can take 15x and 5x. So if 15x is equal to 75, x will be 5. So this total value is 75, and this value would be 5 into 5. So this would be 25. Fair enough. Now you want to find out, assuming there is no slack in the string, that means the string is very tight, you want to find out what is the length of the string. So now you are clearly aware AB square plus BC square is equal to AC square in a Pythagoras by Pythagoras theorem. Now you have AB, which is the height of the triangle, as 75 square, and now you have BC, which is your adjacent side, because the ratio is 15:8. So this is 8 parts, so 8 into 5 you will get this 40. So 80 square plus 40 square will be your AC square. Now coming to one technique using which you can learn squares which are ending with 5 easily. So let us observe a similar pattern and I will come and explain this answer. Now look at 15 square. You are aware 15 square is equal to 225, and similarly if I am taking 25 square, you are getting 625, and similarly I am taking two more values for your convenience, which is 1225. Again I have explained these two values. Now you see, any number if you are squaring, if it ends with 5, the square will always end with 25 in the given problem. As you can see, this is 25, this is 5, this is also 5, this is 25, this is also 5, and this is 25. So this 25 is something that is common. If it is you square a 5, it will always end up with 25. And you look at the remaining part of this RHS. This number is 1, whereas this number is 2. This number is 2, whereas this number is 3. This number is 3, whereas this number is 12. So what is the relation? This is 1 means 1 into 2, 2 means 2 into 3, so 3 means 3 into 4. Similarly, if I want to, let us say randomly I want 45 square, by default I will write 25. Since this is 4, the remaining part would be 4 into 5, I will get 25. Fair enough? Similarly, you can find squares of many other numbers. Now you have 75 square. 75 square would be here 25, and 7 into 8 will give you 56. Fair enough? So 40 square will be your 1600, right? So if I am calculating 1600 plus 5625, I will get 25 and 72, 7225. AC square is 7225, so I want to find out the square root. Just do the opposite. Since it is ending with 5, 25, this will be 5. Since this is 72, 8 into 9, so under root, if I do this value, I will get 85. So clearly I can say the answer is equal to 85. So this is the technique in which you can calculate the squares whenever they are ending with 5. Okay, so with this you basically end your trigonometry, heights and distances and mensuration part. Now you have another easy exercise, which is nothing but your equations. Now you look at this question, very simple question. The basic skill that is required to do well in your equations is your ability to plot the lines on a number line, or ability to visualize. Now he is saying, out of the given 4 equations, which equation passes through the origin? You know the origin is nothing but 0, 0. That means if any line passes through origin, it has to satisfy the point 0, 0. So from the given options you see, once you place x is equal to 0 and y is equal to 0, which equation is satisfying? So obviously you will see this equation will not satisfy, this also will not satisfy, this one also will not satisfy. But you look at your fourth option, since there is no constant term, this will obviously satisfy. So this would be your answer. So 2x minus 3y will be 0. If you put x is equal to 0, y is equal to 0, it will be equal to 0. So it passes through origin. Now you look at this more challenging question, which is very interesting. Now if I have to solve a problem like this, let us say for your understanding, I draw a number line. Okay, right? So this would be 1, let us say this would be 2, and this would be 3, and so on, not drawn to scale. Now you look at your first line, x is equal to 0. X is equal to 0 is the equation of y-axis, and y is equal to 0 will be the equation of x-axis. So this will be your x is equal to 0. This is your first line. Which is your second line? 2x plus 3y is equal to 6, right? 2x plus 3y is equal to 6. So if I convert this line into intercept form, 2x plus 3y is equal to 6. So I divide both sides with 6, I will get x by 3 plus y by 2 is equal to 1. So this is your x-intercept, this is your y-intercept. Suppose if I want to plot this line on your graph, how does it look? It looks like x-intercept will be 3 and y-intercept will be 2. So let me draw 1 and 2. Okay, let me draw this figure for you. So the line would look like this. So this distance is 3 units, this distance is 2 units. That is your second line. And your third line is x plus y is equal to 3. So if I want to plot this line, obviously it will pass through this point, because this point is nothing but your 3, 0. So it would pass through this point, and it will also pass through the point 0, 3. So let me draw another line 3 here. So So basically the line would look like this. That would be x plus y is equal to 3. That means x by 3 plus y by 3 is equal to 1. So x intercept is also 3, y intercept is also 3. Now he wants to find out what is the area of this triangle, the one that I am highlighting for you. He wants to find out the area of this triangle. So for this triangle, you know what is the base. Here the point is 2, here the point is 3. So the base is 1 unit. You want the height. Height is always the perpendicular distance from 0 to 3. So the height is nothing but your 3 units. So area of triangle will be half into base into height, which would be 3 by 2. 3 by 2 would be your 1.5. So which clearly gives you the answer. So if you are able to draw lines and plot them on a scale, it would be very easy for you to do problems related to your equations. Okay, now coming on to your next question, which is basically a third problem. Here x is given as 1 by root 2 plus 1. So you might be aware, whenever surds are given in this format, basically we tend to rationalize the surd. So what do you mean by rationalization? Rationalization means converting the given irrational number to a rational number. So given number is of the form a plus b. If you want to convert an irrational number like this to a rational number, basically you square it. Suppose the irrational part has to go. So for an a plus b, the corresponding value would be a minus b, so that you can get a square minus b square. So for the given problem, the RF rationalizing factor will be root 2 minus 1 and root 2 minus 1, which I will balance both in numerator and denominator. So from this I will get root 2 minus 1 by root 2 whole square minus 1 square, which is 1. So the given problem is just transformed into root 2 minus 1. So that is the value of x after transformation. Okay, now he is asking what is the value of x plus 1. So 1 will get cancelled, so the answer will be root 2, so which is your option D. Okay, so you can rationalize either the numerator or denominator, but generally we have seen in most of the problems we generally rationalize the denominator. Okay, now look at your next problem, which is very good problem. As you can see here, x power 24 plus 1 by 12 is equal to, sorry, just let me write it again, by 12 is equal to 7, and is asking x power 72 plus 1 by x power 36 is equal to how much? Okay, so this is a small correction. Here it should be x power 12. Okay, now this is the given question. Now you would have seen that both the given problems are related using this. X power 12 you have x power 36, you have x power 24, and you have x power 72. That means if you cube it, you basically end up getting the answer. But the most problematic part here is, if I cube a plus b, I will not get a cube plus b cube. I will also get something as, what is the formula for a plus b whole cube? I will get something as a plus b whole cube. The formula will come to a cube plus b cube plus 3a square b plus 3ab square. So if I take 3ab common, I will get 3ab into a plus b. So it's the given formula for a plus b whole cube. Now I have to use this formula to arrange the given terms and get the answer. Okay, so let me solve this problem for you. I am rubbing this, the second part also. Let me see how best I can solve the given problem using our concept. So let me first cube the given terms. So what would I get as the numerator? X power 24 whole cube, it would be x power 72. So a cube plus b cube, which is 1 cube, again 1, plus 3ab. So 3 into x power 24 into 1 into a plus b, which is x power 24 plus 1. Agreed? So 3ab into a plus b divided by x power 36. Okay, fair enough. So what you have seen is that, why I am writing like this, why am I not writing 3a square b plus 3ab square, is because I know what is the value of a plus b. So you can see from the first given equation, so this is your given equation. So in place of x power 24 plus 1, I can substitute, if I take x power 12 to the right hand side, I can substitute 7 into x power 12. So what I will do in the given problem is, you see, I will do x power 72 plus 1 3 into x power 24. In place of x power 24 plus 1, now I am getting 7 into x power 12. Fair enough, by x power 36. Now you can see that x power 24 into x power 12 will become x power 36. So 3 into 7 will become 21. So finally the question would become x power 72 plus 1 plus 21 x power 36 by x power 36. You would have forgotten what is the right hand side of the given problem. So far we have not seen. Right hand side of the given problem is 7. So if you cube 7 also, you will get something called as 343. 7 cube. Remember the cubes up to 12, which would be very useful for you. Okay. So if I have to simplify this term again, so I would get x power 72 plus 1 plus 21 x power 36 would be equal to 343 x power 36, and 343 minus 21 will be 322, and if I bring this x power 36 to the left hand side, you would end up getting 322 as your answer. Though initially I look at the problem, the answer might look like 343, you need to be a little bit patient and remind that if I do a plus b whole cube, I will not get a cube plus b cube, but I will get a cube plus b cube plus 3a square b plus 3ab square. So that is the reason the answer is coming out to be less than 343. So your answer would be D. Okay, let's move on to your next question. Again similar question. I hope this problem will be in a better position to solve it immediately. Now you cube on both sides of the given equation. I will get 125x cube plus 9 cube. As I told you, remember cubes up to 12, that would be very useful for you. 729 y cube, anyway it is given, plus 3ab, 3ab into a plus b. So this is your entire LHS. So your entire LHS, he said 125x cube plus 729 y cube is already given as 120. So I am replacing 120 plus 3 into 5 into 9. So 15 into 9, you will get 135xy into 5x plus 9y value is already given. What is the value? 5x plus 9y, it is 5, which would result in your RHS. Since I have cubed, I will get 125. So what is he finally asking? He is asking you to find the value of xy. So bring it everything to the left hand side. 125 minus 120. So you will get 135xy into 5 is equal to 5. So 5 will get cancelled. So xy will be 1 by 135. Now you have seen how we have used the formula of a plus b whole cube in a different way in both this given problem. So remember this way of adjusting the given formula to get your answer. Now coming to your concept of numbers, which is also as important as your geometry, where basically you deal with divisibility rules, LCM, HCF and so on. So whenever you get a question like this, either you will use remainder theorem to get the answer, or a better way to solve the problem would be you can use substitution method to find out the answer. So let us say I want to use substitution method in the given problem. So let us say I will put some value of x and check in the given option. So let me try with this. Let us say I will put the value of x is equal to 2. So this first term will become 2 power 8 plus 1. So 2 power 8, all you are aware, is nothing but 256, right? So this will become 257, yes. Then this would be x power 4, which is 2 power 4, which is 16, plus 2 into x cube, which is again 2 power 4, which is again 16, minus 2 into 2, 4, minus 1. So you have 16 plus 16, 32, minus 5, which is around 27. Now you want to find out what is the HCF of x power 8 plus 1 and x power 4 plus 2x cube minus 2x minus 1. There is small correction. Here the problem is x power 8 minus 1. So here finally you will end up getting 255. So here I want to find out what is the HCF of 255 and 27. As you might be aware, whenever I am dealing with HCF, the full form of this given HCF would be highest common factor. So of all the factors that 255 and 27 have, which would be the highest? As you can see in the given problem, this number is divisible by, because it has to be common, this number is divisible by 1, 3, 9 and 27. So I will check which of the following numbers also divides 255. So obviously 227 into 10 will be 270. So this will not divide. So I will leave out this. So first I will check whether this number is divisible by 9 or not. Sum of the digits is 12. So it is not divisible by 9. Sum of the digits is divisible by 12. So 3. So this number is divisible by 3. So the highest common factor for these two numbers would be 3. Since I have taken x is equal to 2 as my substitution, I will check in the which of the given options I will get 3. So 2 square plus 1 5, 2 minus 1 1, 2 square minus 1 3, 2 minus 1 1. So the given answer would be C. Suppose you want to solve the given problem, you have to factorize x power 8 minus 1. So how do you factorize? I will also show you that way. Since the given option is x power 8 minus 1, I can write it as x power 4 minus 1 into x power 4 plus 1, which is a minus b into a plus b. Again I further simplify this as x square minus 1 into x square plus 1, which is your this part, and again you have this part. So this one will finally will be your HCF, because that will also be common for your numerator. Again you simplify the numerator also, you will end up getting the same problem. Okay, this is how you calculate HCF of the given problem. Now we will move on to the next question, which is your LCM model 1. This is called LCM 1. LCM model 1 tells you what is the least number which when divided by all the given options will give the same remainder. So whether you divide the number by 6 or 9 or 12 or 15 or 18, you will get the same remainder. That means this number, let us take a small example. A number when divided by 6 and 9 leaves the same remainder. Okay, let us assume the remainder is equal to some 1. If the number is divided by both 6 and 9, it has to leave the same remainder, means it is divisible by 6. It is also divisible by 9. So first thing that I am interested is what is the LCM of 6 and 9. So least common multiples of 6 are 6, 12 and 18. Multiples of 9 are 9, 18 and 27. So least common multiple is 18. So LCM of 6 and 9 would be 18. Since I told the remainder is 1, so the answer would be 19 in this case. Okay. Now coming back to your problem. This is LCM model 1 where the remainders are same but the quotients are different. What are the quotients? 6, 9, 12, 15 and 18. So LCM model 1 will tell you when the dividends are same. Okay, now you have this formula. Dividend is equal to, now let us say I do a small example for you. Suppose I am dividing 22 with 3. So you will get 7, 21 and you will get 1 as. This is called the remainder. This is called your dividend. This is called your divisor, and this is called your quotient. So here finally you are getting the answer. I am just rubbing this off. So in LCM model 1, you have to take LCM of all the given numbers and see what is the remainder. Here the remainder is anyway not mentioned. So I will find out what is the LCM of 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. One way to find out LCM is elimination. What is the LCM of 6 and 9? 18. What is the LCM of 18 and 18? So you have 18. So you can just ignore these two numbers and you can just keep 18 also. Now you take these two numbers. LCM of 15 and 18. So you just keep multiplying. 15 ones are, 2s are, 3s are, 4s are, 5s are, 6s are. 15 ones are 15, not possible, it is not common. 30 is not possible, 45 is also not possible, 60 not possible, 75 not possible, 90. 18 5s are 90, 15 6s are 90. So I can remove these two numbers and replace it with 90. Now I want to find out what is the LCM of 12 and 90. Obviously this number has to end with 0 if it has to be 90. 12 will not divide 90. So if I double 90, I will get 180. Yes, 12 divides 180. So the given number is 180. But he said when it is divided by all these numbers, it has to remain, it has to give the same remainder. So it has to be in excess of 180. So the answer here would be 182. So if you divide it by 6, the remainder would be 2, 9 also 2, 12 also 2, 15 also 2, 18 also 2. So this is your LCM model 1. So the answer would be 182. Now coming to your concept of average. So basically if I ask you if you are studying in a class, if I ask you what is the average weight of all the students, what we generally do, we'll add the weight of all the students and divide it by the number of students. So basically the formula for average would be total value divided by the number of people, or sum of the quantities by number of values. Okay, here he said the average marks obtained by a student in 6 subjects is 88. So this average is 88, total I don't know, but the sum is number of students are 6. So from this I can calculate what is the value of total marks, which would be 88 into 6, 8 6 are 48. So 480 plus 48, so this value will be 528. And what he clearly told, and he has made a mistake obviously in this calculation, on subsequent verification it was found that marks obtained by him in a subject were wrongly copied as 86 instead of 68. So the correct value is 68, but what he has done, he has copied it as 86. So whatever mistake you have done, you have to rectify that mistake. So what basically I'll end up doing, I will subtract whatever value I have entered incorrectly and I'll add the value which was supposed to be correct. Right, so the total is nothing but 528, the difference is 18 less, so it will be 510. The correct total should be 510. There will be no change in the number of students because you are replacing one student with other. Though the weight is increasing or decreasing, the number of students will remain same. So here it would be 510 divided by 6, it would be, if I am calculating, it would be 510 divided by 6, it would be 6 8s are and 6 5s are. So the answer would be 85. Suppose I want to do this problem without doing all this calculation. You know the total average is 88 and you have clearly understood the marks which were supposed to be 68 are copied as 86. So he has made an error by adding 18 extra, right? 86 minus 68, so 18 extra, not 18 less. So if he is adding 18 extra for 6 students, 18 for 6 students means 3 marks for 1 student. Since your average was 88, if you subtract 3 from the value, you will get the correct answer. If it was just opposite, you will add 3, but in the given case you subtract 3 and you will end up getting 85 as your answer. So that way without calculation also you will get the answer much faster. Okay, now let us look at your next problem. How do you calculate arithmetic mean of first 20 odd natural numbers? Now you can see odd natural numbers are like this, 1 2 3 4 5 6, but he is specifically mentioning about odd natural numbers 1 3 5 7 and so on, like this. Okay, and you have 20 such. Now you see the basic pattern. This pattern is basically called arithmetic progression. If you remember, the difference between any two terms is common. This is an arithmetic progression. Now you see, if I take the first term and add, it is only 1. If I add the first 2 terms, I am getting 4. If I am adding the first 3 terms, I am getting 9. If I am adding the first 4 terms, I am getting 16. If I further analyze, first term is 1 square, sum of first term, sum of the first 2 terms will be 2 square, sum of the first 3 terms would be 3 square, sum of the first 4 terms would be 4 square. So sum of the first n terms would be n square. So he is asking arithmetic mean. So how do you calculate mean? Arithmetic mean is nothing but sum of the quantities divided by number of values. Just like normal average or arithmetic mean, both mean the same concept. Now if I want to find out sum of first 20 odd natural numbers, it would be 20 square by number of values are 20, so 120 get cancelled, so answer would be 20 only. It's a very simple problem. You just need to see what is the pattern that is occurring in this given problem. Okay, let's move on to your next page, and more importantly, from now you will realize what is the advantage of doing calculations faster. So care should be taken that you practice calculations on a regular basis, and you can see in the given problem the pie diagram, though it is not given, we have mentioned it as a table. This given table mentions 1 2 3 4 5 6 heads of the total income. So the total income is assumed as 360 degrees, and if you add all the given values, you will get the value of degree. So out of 360 degree in the pie chart, if I draw a pie chart like this, 70 degrees is occupied by education. Okay, let us lay something like this. This is education. Like this, you correspondingly draw other, savings, housing, cloth and food. So you can see food occupies the maximum value of this table, which is around 120 degrees out of 160 degrees. That means 1/3 of my graph is occupied by your food cost. So which is 1/3. That way you will calculate easily. Okay. Now he is asking if the monthly income is 36,000. So what is your monthly income? 36,000. Out of the total income, this is your expenditure. Now what is asking? Is asking savings. Now you look at the savings. What is savings? 60 degrees. Savings are 60 degrees out of 360 degrees. That means 1/6 of your income is what you are saving. Yes, your income is 36,000. So 1/6 of your 36,000 will be your 6,000. So you are saving 6,000 per month. Since he is asking yearly savings, per month you are saving 6,000. So yearly you will save 72,000. So you should be in a position to quickly calculate what is the fraction corresponding to the given degree. Here it would be 36 by 360. This would be 110. This you got as 1/6 and so on. This you got as 1/3 and so on. So for every corresponding degree, you should know what is the corresponding fraction. So that way you will solve the problem faster. The advantage of such problems is each data is followed by a couple of questions. So the moment you crack the concept of this problem, you will be in a better position to solve the subsequent problems also. Let us see the same. If the expenditure on education is 1600 more than that of housing. So what is your education? Education is 70 degrees. This is your first part. And what is your housing? 54 degrees. Upper it's given as degrees. So the difference between these two is 16 degrees. So 16 degrees correspond to 1600 because the difference between these two is given as 1600. So 1 degree will correspond to how much? 100. He is asking expenditure on food. What is food? 120 degrees. So 1 degree corresponds to 100. 120 degrees will corresponds to 1,20,000. Okay, it's mentioned here as 12,000, but it is 1,20,000. So you will get the answer as B, and you are straight away better. Okay. Next, let's move on to your next pie diagram. Okay, same. He's asking find the ratio of expenditure on food to savings. Now you see the food is how much? 120 degrees. What is your savings? 60 degrees. This 120 degrees is out of 360. 60 is also out of 360. So whether you write that 360 or not, it does not matter because ultimately it will get cancelled. So 62s are 61s are. So you will get ratio of expenditure is 2:1. Okay. So just for your information, you need to understand that the given pie diagram can be given sometimes in terms of percentage or sometimes given in terms of degree, like this. If degrees are given, it is 360. If percentage is given, they should add up to 100. So you should be in a position to convert a given degree into percentage. Like if I say 90 degree means it is 1/4. So 1/4 means 25%. Similarly, if I am saying 180 degree means half, means 50%. So every corresponding degree will have a percentage. That is something that you need to find out. Now coming to your another mode of data interpretation, which is called bar chart. Okay, he is asking the average runs of 2 innings of the player who scored highest. Average of the 2 innings of the player who scored highest in average. Now you see, if you can look at the given table, we have Dhoni, Kohli, Pujara and Dhawan. You can see that Dhoni is the guy who has scored the highest. Okay, mostly in both the innings he has scored highest. Okay, now you want to find out his average. One value is 60, the other value is 70. So average of 60 and 80. 60 plus 80, 140 by 2, which will be your 70. So straight away direct calculation. Now you look at the second question. The average run of 2 innings of the player who scored minimum at the second innings. Who is the guy who scored minimum? He is Pujara. What is his average? He is asking. So first innings he scored 70, second inning he scored 80. So if you are calculating 80 by 2, it would come to 40. Fair enough? Okay, let's move to the next question. The average score in second innings contributed by the 4 players. Now you look at these 4 players. The second innings is the one that is that is light, and the first innings is your dark. So if you look at the second innings, Dhoni scored 80, Kohli scored 50, Pujara scored 10, and your Dhawan scored 20. So 80 plus 50, 130, 140 and 160. 160 I want average. So total by the number of people I will get 40, which is your option C. Okay, let's look at your last question. the total scores in first innings contributed by the 4 players. Total, it's not the average. So all you need to, just like what we have in the previous problem, you add all the values. So the value here would be 60 for Dhoni, for Kohli it would be 50, which is 110, 110 plus your 70, which is 180, 180 plus 30, which would be around 210. So in problems of data interpretation, you will either get a pie chart or a bar chart or a table chart or a line graph. So basically it's all about interpreting the data and using mathematical operations like addition, subtraction, multiplication and division, or calculation of percentage to arrive at the answer. So with this we end the discussion of one of your previous papers, that is 2015 paper. Thank you.